Assignment number 3 is to create a WebQuest that would align with a student project that you might be completing in your content area and grade level. I would strongly recommend considering using the topic that you are using for your unit plan, um, and the theme that you've selected as your group theme, to think about what you want to do your WebQuest on. As we've talked about in um, class, a WebQuest is um, a web-based tool that provides students with an opportunity to create um, a project, but everything that they learn and do in order to create the project or complete the project is based on the web. The first thing I would like for you to do once you think about the topic that you want to do your WebQuest on is to visit questgarden.com. questgarden.com, and here you'll be able to look at some sample WebQuests, some that are really great, some that may not be as great. But in order to look at some examples, there's a link on the left labeled search for examples. I want you to click on that. And then there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can either look at a particular subject and grade level and click search. And it will bring you a list of all the different WebQuests that include that subject and that grade level. Notice there's a full page here that you can see, and all the numbers across the top represent the number of pages of WebQuests. The number of pages of WebQuests. So that's one way that you can search. The other way you can search is for a keyword. So if I was teaching a particular topic, I could type that in and search for that as well. Again, it brings me back a page of WebQuests in various grade levels and subject areas that relate to the topic that I was looking for. Okay, and again, there's several pages of those that you can look at. Now, in order to look at the actual WebQuest itself, then you simply click on the title of the WebQuest. And what we learned in class is that a WebQuest is web-based. All of the information that your students will work independently on will be in this WebQuest for them to follow in great detail. And it's divided into sections: an introduction, a task, a process, an evaluation, and a conclusion. So here's the introduction. That kind of gets the students' attention. It's the attention grabber for them, the hook. The next section is the task. This explains what it is that they're going to be completing, what it is that they're supposed to do. So, for example, here you and your team are going to create a travel journey of your simulated journey through the water cycle. So the journal is actually their project. The process then gives them step by step everything that they're supposed to do in order to complete this project, complete this WebQuest. So you'll notice the first thing that's done, because most WebQuests are collaborative, meaning students work in cooperative learning groups. In this case, there are 4 students in the group, and each one of them is being assigned a particular role with responsibilities. So it's making them accountable to the group as an individual, but they all have to work together. So clearly it explains what the job is and what responsibilities come with that particular job. So that's the first thing that's outlined. Since most WebQuests are group projects, then I would suggest you thinking about what each person's job, role, and responsibility will be in the group and making that available to them as well. And then, of course, it breaks it down into what those members should do and provides them with the resources where they can go online and either find the information, find the photographs, find videos, whatever it is that they need to do. And then again, it goes on and it explains um, what else they're supposed to do with the information once they found it online. Okay, so that's the process, the step-by-step. Think of it as your procedures. Um, then the evaluation provides them with how they're going to be graded. So in this case, it gives them a rubric of how they're going to be evaluated. And then the conclusion wraps up all their learning, summarizes it, allows them to reflect on what it is that they've learned um, through this WebQuest. Okay, so that's an example. So just remember, if you want to go to questgarden.com, go to search for examples, and you can either search by the topic that you're interested in, or you can search by the subject and grade level to find some examples. Now, some of them, like I said, are really great, some not so much so. All right, so once you've looked at some examples and gotten some ideas, here's what you are required to do for your assignment for this class. You are going to create a WebQuest that has the following elements included in it. You're going to, of course, put the name of the WebQuest at the top, your name, your class section, the subject area that your WebQuest is going to be covering. So the example that I showed you, that might say science. The grade level, of course, again, you put whatever grade level that this is covering. For my example, I think was a 9 through 12. The state standard that's covered by this WebQuest. So again, keeping in mind that we have visited the Alex website. And you can go to the courses of study, to your grade level and subject area. So in this case, it might be science, and whatever grade level I was looking at there. And you can find the standard that relates to the subject that you want to do your WebQuest on. That's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is to search the Alabama Course of Study content standards. So for example, I was interested in the water cycle and display. So here's where that particular standard is located. It's the Science Course of Study 2005. It's a second grade standard, and it's standard number 9. Describe evaporation, condensation, and precipitation in the water cycle. So I would use that as the state standard that's covered by my WebQuest in my content area. Again, I strongly advise you thinking about using a topic that would be utilized within your group unit plan. All right, then from there, you are going to write your ABCD format learning objective, your audience, your behavior, your conditioning, your degree. Make it specific and measurable, so we'll talk about that very shortly. Then here's where the WebQuest really begins. You're going to have a section for the introduction. That's your eye-opener. That's the hook that gets your students' attention. Your task, where it explains what they're supposed to complete at the end, the outcome, the process, your step-by-step procedures. I've broken it down where I want you to actually provide resources section, which is all of the links that they'll need in order to find their information, their pictures, their videos, whatever it is that they need to complete their tasks. So you're going to put all the websites that they need under the resources section. Evaluation, you can either provide them with a checklist, just a bulleted checklist that has point values that tells how much things are going to be worth, or you can create a rubric for them. And if you would like to do that, there's a website called rubastar dot the number 4 teachers.org, rubastar.4teachers.org. And here you can either create your own rubric, or you can find a rubric that's already been created, either or. So you can search for a rubric, or you can create a rubric. Okay, so let's say you were having your students to do a journal. You can search to see if there are any rubrics, and it appears there are bunches of them. So a daily journal, which that must have been a bad one. Let's try another one. There we go. So there is a rubric. This is for a first grade nonfiction science journal writing activity. So you could take something like this and adapt it for your own needs. Just copy it and paste it, and then make the minor changes that you might want to make for your WebQuest. So again, either way, either a checklist with points or a rubric. You can include that in your evaluation for your WebQuest. And then finally, there is a conclusion that summarizes it up and asks them to reflect on what they've learned. Okay? So how do you create this WebQuest? What I'm going to ask you to do is to visit your Google Apps account. So you can go to the ASU homepage and click on email and log into Google Apps from there, or you can simply go to google.com/a/myasu.alasu.edu. You'll put in your email address, of course, at the top, and then your password, which will log you into your Google Apps account. And we are going to use Google Docs in order to create your WebQuest. So you click on Docs, and then that'll bring you to your Google Docs account. And I want you to click the Create button and create document. Alright, so this is a blank Google Doc. The first thing I want you to do at the top is to type in your name, your topic, and WebQuest. So Miss Johnson's Water Cycle WebQuest. And click OK. So you would do the same thing for your topic. And now here, you're going to enter in all of the elements that I asked you to create. So for example, I might create water, a day in the life of a water droplet. Might be the name of my WebQuest. And of course I'd put my name, the class section. So remember, if you're Monday, Wednesday at 9:30, that's section 3. Your subject area in this case would be science. Grade level, I'm going to say grade 2. In the Alabama course of study standard. Remember we talked about that a little bit earlier. See if I still have that. So it's Science 2005, standard number 9. So I'm just going to copy that. Put the 2005 course of study, and it's standard number 9. The next thing you would do is write your ABCD learning objective. So I might say the second grade science student will be able to describe all the steps in the water cycle through a travel journal without error. So of course the second grade science student is my audience. Will be able to describe all the steps in the water cycle is the behavior. Through a travel journal is the condition, and without error is the degree. So there's my objective. Then I break it into the different sections that I've asked you to create: introduction, process, introduction, task, process, resources, evaluation, and conclusion. So in this first section, you would make the project interesting. So you could say you have been hired as a script writer for a children's television show called Sesame Street. Your first task is to create a fun and interesting story that can be animated for young children while teaching them educational topics. Then under task, of course, you would go in and explain what it is that they're going to do. You are going to create a travel journal that describes the steps in the water cycle through a fictional character named Droplet. Drip the little water droplet. You have a team that you will be working with, so on and so forth. So you'll explain all of that. In the process, you'll go through and provide them with step 1, this is what they're going to do. Step 2, this is what they're going to do, and so on. The resources, you will provide very specific website addresses. Don't just give them Google, but you'll find the websites that you want them to use and enter those. I haven't looked for any, so I don't know any, so I'm just making one up right now. But you will find specifically the website addresses that you want them to use to find the information in order to complete their process. Then you will enter in your evaluation. So either a checklist doesn't look like it's going to paste there. There you go. Either enter your checklist or your rubric, and then of course type your conclusion, what it is that you want them to reflect on and how. So those are all the parts. Of course, you can go back and format these things so that they are neat and interesting for your students. Don't think I like that. All right. So make it look neat. You can put in pictures if you want to. I'm not going to require, but I would suggest at least making it look nice and professional. If you want to put in a picture, you're welcome to do that. Inserting an image and finding a picture online. So you can make it real neat and cute if you want to. You can change the background color. Whatever, just make it look nice and neat. Okay, and when you're done, go back to the instructions. When you're done typing in all of the different parts and making it look neat, you're going to click the share button and publish it to the web, and then copy that link and paste it to LiveText. So let me show you how to do that. When you click the share button, where it says private, only the people below can access, you want to change that. So click the change link. You want to make it available to anybody with the link at ASU, so people at Alabama State University with the link. Okay? And you want to say that they can only view it. You don't want them to be able to edit it. If you would like, you can make it so we can comment on it, but not edit it. And then click the save button, and that's going to give you a link that you are going to copy, and from there you'll log into livetext.com, go to the WebQuest assignment, and you'll paste. So again, of course, I can't show you that step in the process because I don't have a student account, I have a faculty account. So you should see the WebQuest assignment. There should be a submit assignment button that you'll click on to the right. Once you click on that, there'll be 3 tabs where you can click on URL and paste the link that you've just gotten from Google Docs. Please be sure to click the link and make sure it works before you hit the submit button. Alright, so once all of that is done, then I would also advise that you go to the documents, open your ePortfolio in LiveText, and go to the section that has the WebQuest, which is under instructional materials. So you click on instructional materials and go to the WebQuest. Click the edit button. My WebQuest can be found at, and paste your URL. Type your summary. I learned what by completing this WebQuest assignment. So be sure that you type up a good paragraph that explains what you learned by completing this activity. And then later on in the semester, we'll actually put in which standards were addressed by this activity. Save and finish. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to call me or email me, and I will be glad to help you with completing WebQuest number 3, which is actually going to be due not this Friday, but next Friday. All right, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.